7 o'clock. So I'm going to go ahead and call our regular meeting to order for June 8th, 2023, and turn things over to Commissioner Brain to lead us in invocation.
Let's pray. Dear Lord, thank you for allowing us to meet here tonight. It's a very exciting time around town. A lot of graduations going on from kindergarten, elementary school, middle school, high school, and college. A lot of excitement for a lot of our youth and our families. And that also means that travel will start to pick up for summer vacations. And we just ask that you be with all of our citizens and our town staff here and protect them as they travel to and from. And we ask you to be with us tonight as we do the town's business. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Next up is the approval of the agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we got a first and a second. Any discussion before we move to vote? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
And any opposed? That motion carries. So we'll move into item 3, which is public hearings. And item A under public hearings is proposed Franklinton Youngsville annexation and extraterritorial jurisdiction agreement. I will go ahead and open the hearing to the public as of 7:01 and turn things over for a staff report. Mr. Page, did you have anything to add outside of what was already in our packets?
No, sir, Mr. Mayor. Beyond what we agreed to last month, the town of Franklinton has approved the line of agreement. And as required, we published it, and this is our public hearing.
Okay, sounds good. So having heard that, I will open the floor to comments from the public.
In regards to the border, I was wondering if the federal lines for the zip code were included in the map making, because communities like Oak Park, which are traditionally in Youngsville, and parts of Old Liberty, which were traditionally in Youngsville, are now going to be under the jurisdiction of the planning for the city of Franklinton. So there's an incongruity resulting, and it would make sense to just be consistent in that when it comes to the existing neighborhoods that are within the zip code for Youngsville. So I was wondering why the map was drawn in a way that excluded those neighborhoods. And I'm speaking on behalf of people who live in those neighborhoods who asked me to come.
Okay, thank you for that. Do we have any additional comments from the public in relation to the proposed ETJ line agreement? All right, seeing and hearing none other, I will go ahead and close that out as of 7:02. We'll move into item B, which is text amendments to the Youngsville Development Ordinance, section 8.3, description of districts, section 8.4-4C, listed building and lot types, and table 8.1, table of uses. I will open the hearing to the public as of 7:03 and turn things over for staff report.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. This came about as a recommendation that the planning board worked on and would only impact the lots that are shown above in red. It would not make anyone's house illegal. It would turn them into a non-conforming use. That would mean that those houses would not be able to expand their existing footprint, but they'd be able to do any remodeling that they wanted to do, replace the siding, repair the house, put a new roof on it, any of that sort of thing. But they would become a non-conforming use at that point.
Okay, thank you for that. Any questions, Mr. Page, from the commissioners?
I do. If how do I word this well? No, I'll hold it.
I was just saying, you want to think about it then when we go. Okay, all right. Sounds good. So having heard that, I will open the floor to comments from the public. Do we have anyone here in attendance that would like to speak on item B? All right, seeing and hearing none, I will go ahead and close the hearing as of 7:04 and move along into item C. Text amendments to the Youngsville Development Ordinance, amend table 8.1, table of uses in section 10.1-18, food trucks. I will open the hearing to the public as of 7:04 and turn things over yet once again to Mr. Page for staff report.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. This one came about as a result of a request to have a bookmobile that would sell books as it went around on private lots. And we looked through our ordinance and we found that the closest thing that we had to that was a food truck, but it wasn't close, it wasn't clear to the general public what that would be. And so it was recommended by staff that we add a clarifying amendment that would add temporary outdoor sales in addition to the food truck portion and the regulations that were similar. So you can't park it in a fire lane, you can't park it in a required landscape buffer. Those sorts of things that already applied to food trucks would now apply to all temporary outdoor sales.
Okay. All right. Any questions, comments, concerns of the commissioners to Mr. Page? All right, hearing none, I will go ahead and open up to comments from the public. Do we have anyone in attendance who would like to give a comment on item C? All right. Seeing and hearing none, I will go ahead and close that hearing as of 7:06 and move into item D, text amendments to the Youngsville Development Ordinance, which would be adding new section 1.11-3, use interpretation. I will open the hearing to the public as of 7:06 and turn things over for the final time to Mr. Page for a staff report.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. This one was another clarifying amendment where if we didn't have something that was obviously a land use, for example, food trucks, the next closest thing would apply to it. So there's always going to be some use that we can't think of. This would allow whatever the next closest land use impact would be the one that would apply to any zoning decisions. And that would be at the zoning officer's interpretation. If there are any questions about it, that of course would just be appealed to the Board of Adjustment.
Okay. All right. Any questions, comments, concerns from the commissioners to Mr. Page? All right, hearing none, I will go ahead and open up the floor to comments from the public. So if anyone has any comments for item D, the floor is open. All right, and seeing and hearing none, I will go ahead and close that public hearing as of 7:07 and move along into citizens' comments. Do we have anyone in attendance who would like to make a citizens' comment? All right, seeing and hearing none, we'll move along into the consent agenda. The action requested here is to approve the consent agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion. Second.
That goes to, no, I'm just kidding. All right, so we've got a first and a second. Do we have any discussion before moving to vote? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, that motion carries. And item 6, old business. Item A, proposed Franklinton Youngsville annexation and extraterritorial jurisdiction agreement. And I think a lot of this too, and I know Mr. Wilkomsky had a question regarding that, and I think a lot of this has to do with, and Ms. Page, I'll let you speak to it as well, the charter that we proposed. I think the initial language mentioned a potential 2-mile buffer that will go outside. And I think there was a little bit of heartache and concern from those at Franklinton, and we kind of brought it back and started looking at what we felt like made sense to us, what we could potentially service in a swift or in a faster amount of time. And I think where we kind of came up with here with our work, with Franklinton is something that I think they've agreed to as well. I know there's some other things involved with it. So if you wanted to speak to that prior to moving to vote, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Yes, sir. I believe one of the things that I mentioned last month was when everybody leaves the negotiating table unhappy, it probably means you have a pretty good deal. And that's where we came to with this one, where Franklinton didn't get what it wanted, Youngsville didn't get what we wanted, but it's a fairly decent compromise that does good things for both of us. There were some neighborhoods that have Youngsville addresses that would potentially maybe in the future not be a part of Youngsville. Well, this is a line of agreement for today. If Youngsville grows by 20,000 people in the next 5 years, that line of agreement will be a lot closer to Franklinton for the next time that we redo it. And the Youngsville zip code, or at least folks who say that they're from Youngsville, we get phone calls from folks in Wake County and folks in Vance County regularly that say that they believe that they're in Youngsville, that have a Youngsville address, but are not in the town limits for Youngsville. So it would be, it would make our larger neighbor to the south quite unhappy if we were to zone everything with the Youngsville address as the town of Youngsville.
And I know Commissioner Red, you had a question earlier, or I believe it was to this one.
It was on the next one.
The
Thank
next,
you.
okay, all right. Are there any questions, comments, concerns from the commissioners? Anything that Mr. Page could potentially answer? All right, hearing none. Again, the action requested here is to approve the agreement as proposed.
Move to approve.
Okay. All right, we got a first and a second. Any discussion before we move to vote?
Where is the line?
It largely follows Burt Winstead and then goes around the quarry on the left side of one and then shoots almost straight west from there. Over on the east side, it jogs up and down, but the northern road there on the east side is Cedar Creek.
So it follows Burt Winston.
For the most part, on ours, on this side of number one, it does follow Burt for the majority of the way. But I think that large kind of swoop there, I can barely see it, but I didn't bring my glasses. But the large swath that kind of goes north on the left side of number one, that's the quarry area, correct? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
The big dip on the right side is Franklinton High School, isn't it?
That's where that.
That's
Starting
the
point.
patch, yeah.
Yep. Any additional questions or anything to follow up with, Commissioner Wiggins?
No, like I understand it.
All right, if there's no additional discussion, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No,
All right, motion carries. We'll move along into item 7, new business. A, appoint in-town planning board member, term to end June 30th, 2026. I know we received at least 2. One, I believe we already had on file from Ms. Powell. And one, we got in pretty shortly after we put the request out, was from former Commissioner Heaven. So I think either one would be an outstanding selection. I think Ms. Powell's got a lengthy resume of service in other areas. Commissioner Hedlund, obviously, to me, would be a slam dunk as well, because he's very well versed in what we've been doing here recently. So I'll kind of throw it out for discussion, and if anyone wants to appoint one or the other, we'll certainly entertain that and move forward with it.
Well, we've worked with Commissioner Headland at length, so I feel much more comfortable appointing him to the board.
Okay.
That's a personal.
Yes. I think Terry would be a great choice. I think he brings a lot of experience and he's eager to get back involved. I can tell that from talking to him.
Sounds good. Is that kind of the consensus that I'm hearing, is to appoint Commissioner Hedlund, former Commissioner Hedlund?
Yes.
Is that kind of a
Yes.
consensus? Okay, I didn't hear anything. Is that a consensus?
Yes.
All right, good deal. Okay, so can I get that in a motion? For
Motion to appoint Terry Hoodlin.
second.
All right, got a first and a second. Any discussion before we move to vote? All right, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Commissioner Hedlund is filling in on the planning board now. And item B, text amendments to the Youngsville Development Ordinance, section 8.3, description of districts, section 8.4-4C, listed building and lot types, and table 8.1, table of uses. The action requested is to approve the text amendment as proposed, but you said this is the one that you had a.
Yeah, but I'm actually reading through this, and it answered my question.
Okay,
So I'm all set. Thank you.
all right. Would there be any additional questions, comments, or concerns from any of the commissioners? All right, so once again, the action requested here is to approve text amendment as proposed. Do I hear a motion in kind?
Motion.
Second.
All right, we've got a first and a second. Any discussion before we move to vote? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, and any opposed? I think that was consensus there. So moving along into item C, text amendments to the Youngsville Development Ordinance, amend table 8.1, table of uses, and section 10.1-18, food trucks. Once again, the action requested here is to approve text amendment as proposed.
So my question is, that really allows anything. It's kind of like if we have someone come into Main Street Business District and say they want to open a business, as long as they are meeting the requirements, then it can be anything they want it to be, as long as it's not on our no list, right? Am I being clear? So if they come and they want to do temporary outdoor sales, and it can be food truck or a bookmobile, but like you've indicated there, it can be fireworks or vapes or anything else they want to sell, as long as they have gone through us
So
to get a permit, and it's on it, but it's on a private property.
it requires the property owner's permission to apply for the permit,
Gotcha.
and then it's limited to 2 days in any week.
But it could be anything they can be selling. There's no limit to what they sell. No, limit's not the right word.
So there are, because some things have additional requirements attached to them through our ordinance. But for traditional purposes, if you were to sell computers or books or pencils, it would be any 2 days at that location.
I just feel like people don't sell pencils these days. You know, so it makes me a little nervous because people sell all kinds of stuff these days. So, but I understand. I just want to make sure that it doesn't come up to bite us if someone comes to sell something that we don't want sold. I think, yeah,
I feel like we've got a pretty lengthy list of things that are not permissible.
I just want to make sure that our ordinances will still apply.
Right.
That's what I'm asking, like.
And one of the great advantages of this one is that they take it that night and move it away. And so if you found something that we're not thinking of that came in the future that located there under this regulation, we call a meeting, post 10 days of notice, and change the regulation, and then it needs to move on.
Gotcha. Okay.
It doesn't create a non-conforming use the same way that a single family house would. This
Right.
one, that night, it's gone.
Thank you.
All right, any additional questions, comments, concerns? All right, so once again, the action requested here is to approve the text amendment as proposed.
So moved.
Second.
All right, you got a first and a second. Any additional discussion before we move to vote? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? That is also unanimous. And finally, item D, text amendments to the Youngsville Development Ordinance. Add new section 1.11-3, use interpretation. The action requested here is to approve the text amendment as proposed. Open it up for the commissioners if you have any questions, comments, or concerns.
It was clear to me.
Okay. All right. So I will entertain a motion to approve text amendment as proposed.
So moved.
Second.
All right, got a first and a second. Any discussion before we move to vote?
One question. So if I have a house, I'm not in that zoning district, but let's say I have my house, it was there. If I then build out an attachment to my house and rented it, would that then fall into an attached housing?
I believe, is that relevant to the Main Street district?
Yeah, well, yeah, so this is about the Main Street district not having detached housing.
This is it. Yeah, I think you were, okay. Can we table that?
Table
And
that one.
when you go, during your report section, we could probably get back to answer that one because that one should have been under B, correct?
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Yeah, no worries. So again, we got a first and a second. Any additional discussion before we move to vote? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, and any opposed? That is unanimous. Reports and other business. Commissioner Brame opened up with the invocation. I agree. Class of 23. It's a little special to me because I've got the firstborn graduating from Franklinton High. So certainly wish all of the kiddos, whether it's kindergarten, escalating up through elementary school, and fifth graders going to middle school, and middle school going to high school, and even the college grads. I wish them the best of luck. And it's something that goes by in a blink of an eye. Next thing you know, we'll be sitting up here and you'll be crying about kids graduating and stuff like that. So I'm not going to get teary eyed in this meeting. Wednesday of graduation might be a little bit different story, but so yeah, very proud of all the kiddos and certainly wish them very well in future endeavors. Tomorrow's the Parks and Rec golf tournament, and I'm excited about having the day off work to go play some golf. And then I got to start getting the house ready for in-laws and everyone coming in. So yeah, fun stuff. That's all I got. And I'll turn things over to Commissioner Pershing.
Forgot nothing. I answered my own question in my head just a second ago.
Yeah.
I thought about it and I was like, wait, no, that would do this. Okay, never mind.
Fair enough. All right. Commissioner Redd.
No, I also have a child graduating high school, which is crazy. And I went to 8th grade graduation this morning. So next year I'll have 3 more in high school. Yeah, so it's good though. No more carpool. First time in 12 years I don't have to get up and do carpool. So exciting. Love how Main Street's coming along. I know everybody's a little bit frustrated right now, but it's going to be so worth it. It looks great. And I'm excited to see the end results. And that is all that I have.
All right. Commissioner Brame.
I also had a graduate this week. My oldest graduated, yeah, there he is, from 5th grade, moving up to middle school. So he'll still be in the same school. So luckily we can take him the same carpool. But excited about that and
Still to be
start
carpool.
school sports next year. So the Business Expo, formerly known as the Yaba Business Expo, is this coming up Tuesday at Faith Baptist from 4 to 7 p.m. I plan to be there as soon as I can from work, and hope you go check it out.
Is that
At Faith Baptist.
Okay.
Yep. Next Campo meeting is June 21st. Should be able to attend that one, but the July one I will be out of town for work.
When
Sometimes they
July is it?
should be it's like whatever that Wednesday is, 18th, 19th, something like that. So
I
sometimes
will
they
make that
cancel,
work for you.
Yeah.
Yep, I got it.
sometimes they cancel it, so.
Okay, just let me know. Keep me.
Okay.
Okay, yes, I can do that though.
And then for me, as the meetings are scheduled right now, the next 2 months, I will be out of town, one for family trip and other for work trip. So I don't know if anybody else will be out if we need to try and adjust schedules or anything, but I will be out. All right, that's all I have.
We'll miss you.
I just wanted to make sure like Joe.
No, I know.
I don't know that he's gonna miss us though. All right, fair enough. And if something comes up and we've got too many, we can always move it around. I know we've done that in the past, as long as we give enough heads up to our friends in the local media and citizenry, we're good there. Commissioner Wiggins, did you have anything?
My biggie, of course, which we've been doing all day, is Main Street. Without any warning, they blocked our accesses today. So I had 2 delivery trucks that couldn't come in and 1 shipping truck that couldn't come in. In addition to the customers to my daughter-in-law's hair salon, they couldn't get in and had several cancellations. If someone would just tell us when they're going to do things like that and provide some accommodation to at least get in and out. Nathan did get involved. He and I had several conversations today. And finally, about 2:30, I was able to get out without going behind the Masonic Lodge and driving through the rescue building. But it was a very frustrating day.
Understood. And sorry that happened, because they were still, I think I actually got caught up in a little bit of that. They were still doing the milling in front of, is that what it was? Okay.
And pulling out for a full depth repair in places where the asphalt was very, very damaged and the subgrade was even damaged. One of the issues with rock under asphalt is if you get clay in it, the clay will act as a lubricant. And so then you'll never have a solid base again. And when they had dug for a previous water line 60 years ago, 80 years ago, it wasn't filled back in right. And so that trench became a spot that thereafter was an issue, and the oil pumped through the stone and then caused the asphalt on top to fail.
Okay.
It was quite a big hole in front of Commissioner Wiggins' office this morning. I think it was probably
A ditch.
about 200 feet long and in parts 2 feet deep
Okay.
to repair it, to pull out the portions that had failed.
Right.
It's my understanding that all of the milling is now done until they start the 5 Points project, which it was one of my updates, but I met up there with them today for that project. They switched the lights over, so the new stoplights are up. And they're still waiting on one utility to relocate off the pole, at which time they'll pull the pole that is in the way. It's the one that's in front of the old ABC store, the brown pole there. And as soon as that one is gone, they anticipate starting, and it should be a 2-month time frame for them to complete. They will pull all the way back to where our contract is on Main Street, on the Main Street plan stopped. And so the sidewalk will go and be continuous and across the front of Speedway and connect to the Edward Jones building. And then they'll also mill the street portion that hasn't already been milled, and then mill a little bit of the street where that is done here, just so you have a tie, a couple of inches of it.
Okay.
And so the whole piece should be paved from the ABC store to Ronnie White's in a couple of months. That's if NCDOT meets its timetable. I'm a little skeptical about that, given they still can't start with the pole in the way, but I anticipate them definitely being done by September.
All right. Commissioner Wiggins, did you have anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. All right. Turn things over to our esteemed legal counsel.
Not much to report. I'll say that Chief Whitley's officers have been sending me civil penalties to issue for heavy truck ordinance violations. There have been 3 more since the total from his May 2023 report. So we're sending those out.
Okay. All right, and turn things over to staff. I know we kind of jumped ahead a little bit with the Main Street stuff, but did you have anything else, Mr. Page, that you needed to add?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have some unfortunate news. The Federal Railroad Administration reported the awardees for their grant funds for the Railroad Crossing Elimination Grant, and Youngsville was not on that list. I still haven't heard from them. They didn't reach out to me directly, and it's my understanding in these circumstances that they usually reach out to the local jurisdiction and say, your application was weak in this area, or it was really great over here, or this is what we'd like to see next time for an application. I'm hoping that that happens soon. NCDOT has suggested to me that that's likely to happen, and they are trying everything that they can to work with us here. I also have put on NCDOT's radar that the town isn't interested in waiting till 2050 for the truck traffic to be moved off of Main Street. And so we're going to do whatever we can, even in the absence of a bypass, to make downtown our downtown and not just a cut through for heavy trucks. The Mudcats game for the Parks and Rec fundraiser is on the 23rd. I believe that's a Friday. If you're interested in finding out more about that, you can either get in touch with Alyssa or me. The tickets will, part of the proceeds from the tickets will go to support the Youngsville Parks and Rec Department. Our new planner will start on Monday the 19th, so 2 weeks away. I'm very excited about having a planning department back on staff to carry some of the load. We have photos at Irene Mitchell Park immediately following the meeting. So that's, the board will still be there and present, but of course we won't have any discussion about any meetings, any town business. And then if anyone is interested, there is a public input meeting on an NCDOT project that is their number that means nothing to any of the rest of us is U5307. That is the conversion of Highway US 1 into an interstate from 540 to Purnell Road. It does not include anything in our jurisdiction, but of course it will impact land use here in Youngsville if getting into 540 takes a few minutes rather than stopping at every single light on the way through in the morning. That meeting is happening at the Living Word Family Church at 10,520 Star Road in Wake Forest. And it starts at 4 and runs till 8. I'll go in and represent the town at that, but if you know anyone who's curious about that project, wants to be involved in that project, that's where that public meeting would be. The portion that is funded so far is way south of us. It's the first portion from 540 north. And it just even has like a to be scheduled for the portion that would stop at Purnell Road. So the portions that are going to be in Youngsville's jurisdiction in the future, we don't know if those are 20 years out, 30 years out, or what, but they're certainly not in the 5-year or 10-year window. And Mr. Mayor, that was all that I had.
I forgot one item. Home Slice has invited us to their grand opening for ribbon cutting on June 24th. So I don't know what time yet. We'll work with Brian on that to set up a time, and I will let everyone know who wants to attend. So they're having a big event that whole weekend. So jointly with Yacht Club, I believe. They're having stuff during the day and at night. So
That's a calendar.
you do.
It's weird. I already have
She's
a
in.
calendar. I'm in the know.
Commissioner
It
Ritz.
happened to me.
But yeah, I think that'll be great. If I hear before you guys do from Brian a time, or if y'all have a suggested time you want me to recommend to him, I'll do so.
Sounds good. Ms. Robbie, did you have anything that you needed to add?
Nothing to add, Mr. Mayor.
All right, sounds good. So item 9, closed session. There's no need to go into closed session. So the next item is to adjourn. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, the first and a second. Any discussion before we move to vote? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I didn't think I wanted to stick around. All right.